It is Wednesday, the 31st of August, 2022. Good afternoon, Namibia, and a very warm welcome to today's discussion, coming to you live from the Government Information Center here in the capital. I am your host, Heleni Felepo-Samunyela, and I'll be keeping you company between now and 4 o'clock. Today, we are discussing the significance of bride price in Namibian cultures. And I'm joined in the studio by a well-versed team of panelists that are going to help us break down and unpack this very interesting topic of discussion. On my far left, I'm joined by Mr. Dave Ruquero. He's representing the Ovaherero culture. Good afternoon, Mr. Ruquero, and welcome to the Government Information Center.
Thank you very much.
All right. And then next to him is Ms. Felicitas Tuduetso Mohosi, a representative of the Botswana culture. Good afternoon, ma'am, and welcome to the Government Information Center.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
All right. Lastly, I'm joined by Dr. Vincent Satiza. He's a representative of the Zambezi culture. Good afternoon, doctor, and welcome to the Government Information Center.
Good afternoon.
All right. As Ali alluded to, today we are talking the significance of bride prices in Namibian cultures. Doctor, we'll start with you. In a layman's term, what is bride price, also commonly known in the African sphere as a lobola or dowry?
Yes, dowry or lobola is a price that is paid to the parents of the bride, and the reason why that happens is because the parents of both the bride and the groom want to establish a relationship and a trust, and also to ensure that this relationship is going to last. Because if they just take the daughter and they give, it doesn't mean anything to them. So at least there should be something attaching. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Felicitas, in the Setswana culture, what is dowry, also known as lobola in the African sphere, or bride price?
In my culture, I want to kill the word price.
Okay.
So it's just an appreciation for the parents of the lady whom we are going to marry. And I don't think really we have to say price, because when you say price, it seems that you are buying something. So here is just appreciation for the parents to say, thank you for having and giving me the lady like this to go to start our homestead.
Okay. Mr. Ruquero, maybe you can just give us the views of the Ovaherero culture.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I'm quite happy that I'm also with other panel just to share the ideas and so on. From the Ovaherero perspective, we call it ovitunya. Ovitunya, in the other language we call it lobola. So to us it's just the same with what my two colleagues said. They are simply because we don't buy a person, we don't buy a lady, we don't buy who, just to bring the two families together and to appreciate that if I give you my lady, at least I have something to remember that she is no more with us.
Oh, okay. Now, doctor, in your culture, what is the difference between dowry price and bride price? Is there a difference, if I may put it that way?
Yeah, there is no difference.
There is no difference?
Yes.
Okay, so it is the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Dowry price is the lobola,
Yes.
and it's the bride price.
Yes.
Okay, even though Ms. Mohosi wants us to kill the price
Yes,
aspect
yes.
of the question. Okay, so from the definition you have given me of a lobola, as it's commonly known in the African sphere, clearly it exists in all our cultures. So maybe you can explain to us, doctor, what led to the existence of this bride price or lobola?
Yeah, what led to that is the issue that at least when our daughter is marrying, there should be something that ties us as a bond together with that family. So the bride and the groom are now understanding that the fact that our daughter is going away, at least there is a remembrance that the two families are now united together. Yes.
Okay. Ms. Mokgotsi, maybe you can just give us the perspective of the Tswana culture.
Yeah, that lobola in Setswana we are calling it bogadi. And this bogadi, what we are going to give to the bride's parents, is just only to strengthen the relationship between these two parents. Because these two young men and lady who are going to marry, they brought these two families together, and then we have to know that our family is growing now, as they are going to have also their kids. So it's a new house which they are going to start now.
Okay.
So, and we have to remember it.
Yeah, thank you. From the Ovaherero culture is also very simple that we marry in, we are bringing the two families together, the paternal side and the maternal side. So we are bringing these two families together, and we are more cattle-centered. So we offer two heifers and an ox that is given to the bride family. So it's a question of bringing these two families together, and there are also some other significance that is also attached. Yeah, because these two people, they are going to be one big family now. The bride side and the groom side. So we are going to become one big family.
Okay. That was going to be my next question to all of you, as in, what is the lobola price in your respective cultures? As Mr. Rukero alluded to, my apologies, that they are cattle-centered, so they would offer that. In your culture, Doctor, what is the bride price?
Okay, in the first place, I will have to, because there are two, contemporary and the ancient. The ancient one, it was labor. The groom would now be tasked by the parents-in-law to be, then he would either clear the field for them, or build a hut for them, or give an axe or an assegai as a prize. Yeah, that's how it was done in the past. But nowadays, we'll regard it as pricing. So normally now, it's money and the cattle. And when it comes to cattle, first of all, it was 50. You have to pay, one head of cattle would be equivalent to 50 cents. Then later, it came to one head equals to 100. Then again, it shifted from 5 to one head to 500. And then again, one to 1,000. That is where it stands today in the Zambezi culture.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I understood you correctly, Doctor, you are saying one head of cattle is equivalent to 1,000 Namibian dollars?
Yes, today.
Okay. Ms. Mokgotsi, maybe you can just give us the Setswana perspective of the bride price, or lobola negotiations, if I may put it that way.
When it comes to bogadi, sometimes it depends on our relationship. If we are having a good relationship, the parents of the groom will bring what they can bring. Not a high price, because sometimes that hurts the feeling and the love of these two people. So it depends on the groom what he's going to bring and his parents. But sometimes you have to bring also a cow or money. But sometimes it depends also on the distance. When the groom is staying very far, for transporting the cows to the bride's house, sometimes it's very difficult. That's why sometimes they just ask money, maybe 10,000 like that, when they make it a little bit.
Okay. Mr. Rukero, you earlier on alluded to that you offer bride price as you respectfully said. I would like to know, who do you offer it to? Because now we have the paternal side of the bride and then the maternal side of the bride. Who does this bride price go to? If, for example, I'm sorry to interject, because sometimes you find that the bride's parents are not married. They live in different households. So who does this price go to?
Basically with us, as I have said, we are more cattle-centered people, and we don't want to have stations like you bring money and you bring what. So we are only based on cattle. So the cattle is coming from the groom side. These are actually an ox and 2 heifers that basically go to the main house of the bride. So he's the one keeping them. And because to us, a person does not cost anything. So we don't say you pay cattle because of the value of the women you are going to marry. Yeah, so if you happen to bring the cattle, the 2 heifers, and an ox, that is a normal standard from the cultural perspective.
Okay, and I'd just like to establish that I understand you correctly. So the price, and when I say price, I'm talking about the ox and the heifers that you were referring to. It's paid to the main household. Main household meaning that it is the household in which the bride resides or lives.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, that is clear. Now, Doctor earlier alluded to that in ancient times, meaning that it backdates in ancient times. So, Ms. Mukotsi, what is the history of dowry or lobola in your respective culture? Back to when does it date? Do you have maybe the...
My dear, these things, it seems that we are pulling it somewhere, but all these things are in the Bible. There, when you can come to Exodus 22, verse 16 up to 17, you will hear there that when you want to marry a lady, you have to give, like the price that you are saying, appreciation gift to the family of the lady, so that you can get her and you can marry her. So it comes a long time. It doesn't start with us. And most of the things, really what we are doing, if we are reading the Bible, we just follow what Moses was doing.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Roquero, does paid lobola means that the couple are now married?
There are some stages or some rituals what we perform in order to indicate that the 2 of you are now married. So there are specific pieces of meat which is given to the bride and the groom that bond them together. So those are some of the indications that clearly say that now the 2 of you are married. And it's not something that came recently, it came a long way. Because from our cultural perspective, we were created by the Creator, and He gave us that culture. And that is exactly what we are following up to date.
Okay. Does the same apply in your culture, Doctor?
Yeah, the same. In ancient, they will do traditional ceremonies to join the 2 together, and there are also rituals that are done there. And then they join them together. They know now that from now onwards, this is my wife, this is my husband.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing that I also wanted to add on is that when you are not the person who should be in love. The groom is not choosing. Yeah, you are told that from that family. Now, since we see that you are having signs of being a man and you have to get married, now we will propose a family for you. Your parents and the uncles will do that, and then from that is when you will now is when they will go again to the family of the bride to introduce that our son would want to have that daughter of yours. We've screened all the lifestyles here. We really like it here. That's
all
how
that
it
needs
goes.
to be done.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, doctor, I have a follow-up question for you. Is that the case? My understanding is that that worked so well in the past, in the ancient time.
Yes.
Is that still applicable in the nowadays? Is this still working that my parents, for example, get to choose a husband or spouse for me in my absence without me knowing? Is that still working well in your observation?
Yeah, in my observation, the ancient culture is now abandoned. So we are now moving on the contemporary marriages. In most cases, you will find that they just choose themselves. Either it's at universities or at churches or in towns, wherever they meet, or ceremonies, wherever they meet, that's where they choose for them. And we don't have anything against that one. We've just adopted it to the ancient.
Okay. Yes. Ms. Mokhotsi, what are your views on the questions I've just asked the doctor?
Okay. Now, in our olden days, our parents were so intelligent, even when we say that they are outdated. They were always a blind date. Blind date, yes. Because maybe that family is just only having one daughter. And at that house, it's only boys there. And then from the lady's side, they will send her, oh, go to Meme Maria's house and go to clean there and help her with the preparation of dung and everything. And then from the boy's side, they will send him also and say, you said that there is no wood at that house. Can you take the car and go to bring wood for them? And then you see these two people are always meeting, and this is always checking. But this girl is always here, he's helping my mother. And from there, they will easily fall in love. And from there, they will think it is just only because of they fall in love. They don't even know that it was only hide and seek for them. And then from there, they fall in love. And then yeah, it was very easy to get the man. But nowadays, as you hear what my colleague's saying, they met where they met, at the university or where, and then sometimes we accept it not to make it difficult for them to say we don't want that one.
Okay. Now, Mr. Roquero, based on the explanations that the two colleagues just gave, my elders, do you think the olden days arrangement was better than the recent days, when the current times ones? Because back then, obviously, the wife would not choose her husband, or the husband not choosing the spouse. The olden days, in my honest opinion, the olden days marriages would last a lifetime, but now the times tend to be different. What are your views on that?
Let me quickly come in there by saying our parents were never wrong at all. We as Africans, we are living in a compound family. Compound family means people who live together, so we know each other. So I know Dr. Children, and I know my sister parents here, children, meaning we know each other, and they will never give you a wrong gift. So meaning they have to do a thorough feasibility study in order to see that my boy is so brave and so on and so on. In order for him to give him a proper wife, I have to go to doctor family and so on. So it's a compound family. We know each other history and so on. And once the bride family comes to ask for the bride, so they happen to sit the paternal side and the maternal side, and they do a study whether maybe those families, they have epilepsy and so on and so on. Yeah, so those are some of the things that they look into. And then they give you a proper gift for the rest of your life, because we only marry once.
Yeah.
And there have to be a thorough feasibility study to give you a proper wife. Now you happen to meet someone at a university and so on. You don't know the history or the background, where they are coming from. And you happen to marry her after 2-3 times. after 2 to 3 years, or even after 2 to 3 weeks, they divorce because no study was done. You met a beautiful lady at the university. She looks so beautiful. You go to your parents, you ask her, you marry, and 1, 2, 3, they divorce. So from the Ovaherero culture and perspective, people do studies, the mother side and the father side, and then they give you a proper gift for the rest of your life.
All right. So, Doctor, based on what Mr. Rukero just alluded to, what do you think needs to happen so that we can maintain and retain what our ancestors used to do that lasted into a lifetime of marriage?
Yeah, looking at that one, it's now problematic because normally the guy, your son or your daughter, will come and tell you that's the best man, that's the best lady for me. So you cannot choose for me. Then as parents, we say, let us also support our son, support our daughter. Because in the past, as we used to know it, people were not just living in one thing like in terms of tribes. And otherwise, the tribe will be in one section, the other tribe will be in that section. And there were rules that do not marry from another tribe because we don't know their lifestyles. But nowadays it cannot work because we are talking about racism, we are talking about one nation. How do we build our nation together? Yeah, so once a lady or your daughter is telling you, that is the man I have found from the university or from the church or from Windu, then we say, okay, from where? This one is the Mara lady. Okay, we are supporting. That's all we have to do because the love is between the two. For us as parents, nowadays, it's like now we have gone back to the biblical times when it was saying, when you marry, you shall leave your husband. I mean, you shall leave your mother and the father, and then you will cleave to your wife, and now you are one flesh. So that is what is there currently, although it was also there in our olden days.
Okay. Ms. Mkhotsi, do you agree with what the doctor just alluded to?
Yes, I agree. But when we are supporting them, but these two people have to know also each other's culture to make their life more easier and to accept it. But most of the time, if you can look nowadays, our kids, they are not so interested in the culture. But this culture, it binds you people and it brings you very far if you can respect each and other's culture. And if you know it and you practice it. If I'm going to my in-laws as a lady, I have to know how to behave myself and what to go to do there. And in this marriage arrangement, at the end, the parents are even going to sit together and they are going to tell you the rules from the men's side and from the woman's side. And let's try by all means to support our parents on this one. And then you can see, it's a blessing, my dear.
Right. Right. Okay, Namibia. Now, as per the norm, this is a conversation of national concern. We are inviting you, our viewers and listeners, to take part in this conversation and follow. You can follow us on our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are at Ministry of Information and Communications Technology, Republic of Namibia, or you can stream us live on our YouTube channel. Our handle there is MICT Namibia. Alternatively, you can call us in the studio at 1:30. The calling number is 061-400-397. The calling number is 061-400-397. Now, as we wait for our viewers and listeners' opinions and questions and so on, we continue with the conversation here in the studio. Doctor?
Perhaps before that one,
Okay.
also you'll find that like nowadays in the contemporary marriages, if you oppose your son or daughter's choice, they might quickly come with suicide at your house and tell you, okay, if that's the case, I'm committing suicide. We are seeing them. So that's why we are highly supporting them so that at least, because it's their marriage, let them live the way they would.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I also add on that? There is something that we call culture crash. I think I will go along with the two people who are going to marry each other. But I will be very frank and happy if we can do a good study on that. Maybe in my culture, a man wake up in the morning, you go sit somewhere under the tree and have your own discussion. If I happen to marry another culture, he used to come there and sit on my side and kiss me and so on, which is not part of our culture. But if we go deep into that and do a thorough feasibility study to know why, maybe if I come to Sabesi, I need to clap hands, in order to give you respect. And to us, we don't do that. We don't wear red stuff at the marriage and so on, but you do. So those are some of the things that we need to iron out, and then we can go together as one big family.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rukara. Now, before we continue the conversation, we have a caller on the line. Anytime from Tumip. Good afternoon, Anytime. How are you?
I'm good, and how are you, madam?
I'm very well, thank you.
Oh, thank you. And greeting to the panel there. And I would like to appreciate the presence of the representatives of different cultures. And as I'm hearing from the Zambezi region, I would like also to thank, in particular, Dr. Sazita Zavule.
Twazande mwazavule. Shangwe.
Yeah, let me just express my views. I think when I came across this, you spoke about also on Lobola, right?
Yes.
You spoke on Lobola, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. From the different cultural perspectives, I would like to know whether all the cultures are represented on your panel, which is not. I suggested all the cultures could be represented, and then we learn from each culture when it comes to the Lobola.
Anytime?
Yes.
Sorry, maybe if I can just clarify there.
Yes.
It's a series 1 of 2. So the second series would still come, and we would invite other cultures so that we have a full representation of all the ethnic groups in
All right,
Namibia.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let me just be specifically direct my question, and I will need more elaboration from Dr. Kazita. From the Zambezi region, when we talk of Lobola, I see it as very, very expensive. I don't know about other cultures, from Guerrero culture, from the Sama culture. We talk of 30 cows, ranging from 40, 30, 25, 20.
70.
And there is something with Dr. Savita and the representative from other cultures that we call Skola, Mlomo, and Skolamo.
Yeah.
Taking note into that, one may pay, for instance, depending on how the family demands that Skola Mlomo amount, it can be made 2,000 Skola Mlomo and Skola Mlomo 2,000, altogether 4,000. Or it can be less than of the amount we mentioned. 1,000 Skola Mlomo, 1,000 Skola Mlomo. Now, again, you still need to pay 30 cattle towards the Lobola. Now, I want to find out, other cultures, do they really go to that extent of demanding 30 for Lobola, 40 cows? And in your Chombo culture, we talk of weddings. The wedding is also spending beyond that. One can spend even maybe 60,000, 50,000 just towards that wedding. There's a mouthful of questions on that one. Maybe we need to contemplate more on that one. Why is it so demanding that one should pay 30 cows? One should spend 70,000 towards the wedding? Is it culturally? And we've adopted the Western cultures whereby the weddings are coming in. Yet we talk about our culture. Maybe Dr. Sazita can elaborate why are the Lobolas not regulated through traditional authorities? So that if a Tingoma they charges 10 cows or Lobola, let it be 10 cows of a Tikongola. Not that at Ngoma, one is asking for 10 cows, at Kongola, the other one is asking for 8 cows. Dr. Sazita, maybe can take that one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you anytime. Dr. Sazita will attend to your question. You may go back to your TV set and hear your response from him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, we are going to start with the time when the lobola price is decided. So what happens in the Zambezi culture is that, first of all, they will go to the parent of the bride. Then they will determine as to how much should be priced. And then they will consider education of their lady. And then they will look and say they have also nurtured that daughter for such a very long time, brought her to primary, brought her to secondary, and then university, and is having a degree. And now she's having a good job. That's what they are looking at. Now, when that one before that one is decided, they will now, by the family of the bride, they will sit together, and then they will determine a sole amount of cattle, which can also be converted into money. Or they will say 10 heads of cattle, which are oxen, and then heifer, 10 also. Or pay half cattle, half money. Yeah, so they are going to do that also. But when it's determined, the family of the bride will come there, and then they will decide on that price. And then the parents will now say, what is the final amount? Then they agree on that final amount. If it's 30,000, then it is 30,000. But it's different. If you pregnanted first, it's a different issue. They will charge you on that one first. Then is when they will charge now on the. If you are saying you are marrying to that daughter of theirs which you have pregnated, now it will be softer to the marriage now, to the bride price. They will first charge the one where you entered without their acknowledgement. And then they will say, this is the amount. So they will now establish a situation where you will have to come together, and they will say, as family members, now we are deciding on the price. So they will say, proposal number 1, proposal number 2, proposal number 3, proposal number 4. Then they say, for him, he will propose 70. But the normal way they want is 30. Yeah, they know that 30, they stop there. There's no more additions. Whether you still want them to drop down, they'll tell you, no, that's the last. Either take or leave it. Now, he will start with, say, for me, 70 is the first proposal. Then they will come to my sister here, and they say, okay, and for you, for me, 68. Then they come to me. And for you, for me, I think 40, because we know already we are remaining with the only one. Then if they agree in 40, then they remain there. But ours were 30. If they still argue, then you will say 30, and that's the end. Whatever they are going to say, for us it's like that, it's done. Then they will, if they don't agree, they will go in the city again, and they will send the uncles and the aunties to come and they plead for you to come down. Then again, the parents will sit and say, okay, can we come now to say 25? Then okay, go and tell them 25. That's our last price. Then they now we are happy with that one. And that's how it works.
Okay, doctor.
But the reason why it's expensive, you see there are different cultures. Ours is mainly, they are too economical. They are looking at the economical value of their daughter, how economical she's going to be. And like you, because there are still those questions still coming.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't want to answer those ones now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Ms. Mokhoti, would you like to add on to what the doctor has just alluded to?
Yeah, it's like that, my dear. The family of the bride will still discuss this. What they really go to ask from the groom's parents, what they are going to give them as an appreciation, bukhaji. And then from there, they will tell the groom's family if they are coming, what we are demanding is this. But remember what I said about their relationship. So the others, it will still come to answer.
Okay. Would you like to add on to what my elders have said?
Yeah,
Mr. Karo?
yeah, there's one aspect that I also want to add. Yeah, from the Ovaherero culture. Ours, it just is a straightforward thing. Like, we don't go and negotiate for a price. The price is already there.
Set.
It's a heifer, 2 heifers, and an ox. So that's very simple. And it also encourages many people to go and marry. Yeah, because we are people who are more into marriage. So it would be very easy for every son and daughter to be married. And from our culture also, if you happen to be any daughter, you know that she's going to be married. And the process is very simple and clear. Just an ox and 2 heifers, and then the marriage will go ahead. But also to add on that, today's marriage, they happen to take the heifer away. Now we are into money now, which is a very, very big problem within our society now. 20,000, 30,000. But if we happen to go to our old culture and so on, things will be very easy because we are a standard people. You cannot pay 10 and 20 and so on. So it was very standard.
Yeah, so perhaps also to add on that, and now you can already see they have tuned now to 30 or 40,000 as well. So, which means that the
not
question...
not cattle, just money.
Yeah, the same thing with us.
Yeah, what they brought in now.
Yes, for us, normally they will talk about cattle, which is converted into money to around 30,000, 40,000. So, but what the question is all about is very important also from any time. It's a very important question which we must now, as a cultural groups now, in our different regions, must now start seeking justice from the courts and also from the traditional authorities to at least come on a balanced price. So I should think it will be good for us to work in that direction.
To have it regulated.
Yes, to have it regulated.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Rakam.
Let me also quickly come in there. If we happen to go to our basics, there will not be problems. If we happen to go back to our cultures and norms, it's so unique, it's so good. If we happen to go there, there will be no problems in fighting and so on and so on. So it's a golden idea that we need to come together. We have traditional leaders and so on, and then we can go to our basics and all will be fine.
Okay. All right, Namibia, I'm inviting you, our viewers and listeners, once again to take part into this conversation, add your voice to this conversation. You can also follow the discussion on our social media platforms. On Facebook, we are at Ministry of Information and Communications Technology _ Republic of Namibia, or you can follow the discussion on our YouTube channel. Our handle there is MICT Namibia. Alternatively, you can call us in the studio, and the call-in number is 061-400-397. The calling number is 061-400-397. Doctor, earlier on when we were talking about, you briefly touched on the Lobola negotiations, but maybe, or should I put this to Ms. Mukhotsi rather, because I had doctor's view. How does one know in the Botswana culture that the Lobola negotiations have started? What is the first process? How does one know that the Lobola negotiations have started in the Botswana culture?
So, first of all, when these two people fall in love, the guy will go to the mother and tell the mother, and the mother will tell the family. And then from there, he will tell also the father, and the family will tell his family also. And then we will even come up also to set up a date to tell them, this date we are going to visit you. And then from there, they will come and ask the hand of this lady. And the time when they are coming, they will come with mukwili. Mukwili. And when we talk about mukwili, they will bring sheep together to go come and give it to the bride's parents. And then the negotiations will start there. After they agree that their child, they give this gift to that gentleman, and then from there they are having also certain things what they are going to put there, because they know these people have to eat and drink and so on. So that what they are going to give there also, it depends also on the relationship what they are having, appreciations what they are having. So the other one will give 10 kg of sugar, and what the other one will feel not 10 kg but 20 kg of sugar. So it depends on their relationship. And then to appreciate for that, yes, you can take the lady. And after that, they will go back before the marriage starts. And they know that we have to do what we're supposed to do now. They will come back again to come and set up a date for the marriage. When they come to set up the date for the marriage, because in Setswana, mukweli gauheli, they will still this time maybe bring a goat or a sheep again and come and set up the date, negotiation, set up the date for the marriage. When they come to set up the date for the marriage, they will bring that sheep or a goat, and then they will leave it here at the homestead of the bride, and then they can still enjoy themselves. And the first one, we are not supposed to come and eat it. It is just only for these ladies' parents and so on, and they will call the people in the community to come and eat. And they know what they're going to do further when they are going. And then when we are ready for the marriage now, it's where we are going to talk also about bukhadi. Because we know then we are through, we have to ask bukhadi now.
Okay. Okay, we have a caller on the line. Mr. Humberto, good afternoon. Welcome to today's discussion. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you, and greetings to the panelists.
Thank you. How would you like to add your voice to this conversation?
I would like just to add a little to the previous caller.
Okay.
Who emphasized a little on the price that is determined when one is intending to enter into a marriage, more especially in the Namibian region. I would say somewhere it has been lost in the thread to the past. Traditional marriages has been going on, everybody was willing, and people would be able to live quite a happier life because one, it was affordable, and there was proper preparation for one whoever is intending to enter into such a marriage. But nowadays is quite a big difference. It's more into price value. So we would find that those who determine, they look at is this person working or ain't working? So now the two are combining them, it really shows that we have lost it somewhere, somehow. Traditionally, the way it was conducted, it shifted into contemporary marriage, whereby you would find that the price, when it's determined, they look at the type of job that you do. If you do that, you have a job that is highly paid, that is more or less equally the same way, then Lobola will come. So this doesn't really prepare us for me to my end, and this doesn't really prepare the two people who are entering into marriage. Because the focus is now only into money, not necessarily of that to bring the two to understand the line of marriage. That they carry something that is quite important, that what does it mean to be in a marriage. Let me give it this way. Could it not be that if one pays the 50,000 and 40,000 to the woman in our area, what will happen if you have an argument in the house? It's not going to be referring to the amount of money that has been paid. So totally it's going to destroy that marriage. So if it could be checked well back in the way it was being done, maybe to correct it so that it will encourage the younger one to know and to have the value of that. Which I do support the previous caller also on his point. They were saying at least it should be probably the regulatory policy side. That at least it has to be uniformly everywhere. So that it is a fair case to say thank you. Because otherwise, it doesn't show a better way of that. Other one pays the 50, the other one pays the 30. So the good family, they say, we thank you very much for taking a decision to take our daughter from us. They appreciate, so they pay or they give you late, or they charge you late. Or they see the need of that man to come and take a daughter from that family. I think that is my contribution.
Thank you so much, Mr. Humberto, for that contribution. We highly appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Roquero, you'd like to add on to what Mr. Humberto said?
Yeah. I just want to quickly support this idea by saying, let's talk about culture. No, let's talk about marriage without adding anything. Let's talk about a marriage. What is a marriage? Is to take someone from a certain home state to a certain home state. So if you happen to put money and whatever, it won't last at all, and it will also lose its original value. So it will be very good to go back to tradition. We value a person as he or she is, but not the qualification. You have a degree. If you are a cleaner and you are in a wheelchair, what will happen to you? Meaning you are not going to get married. But from the Obaherero culture, whether you are poor, whether you are in a wheelchair, whether you are whatever, you are going to get married with a heifer, 2 heifers, and the ox, and then done. So we just need the person, but not the quality. Now we are becoming more materialistic, which is not something to look at all.
Okay. Yes, doctor?
Yeah, especially like my 2 native callers have said. Like in the Zambezi, for sure it's expensive. Because when you are busy starting to now decide on how much with the people from the groom's side who are now with you. The first thing, I hope the language you didn't get it. When you talked about Squaw, I should think you remember now.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that it was still coming somewhere there, but now let me just respond.
It would still come, but you can
Yeah,
allude to.
okay. So what happens there, they will summon a meeting where now the 2 families come together and they must now agree on a certain price. Like I have said, the proposals and up to my sister here. So what they will do now, they say, Squaw Molomo means we cannot speak unless you have paid. Firstly, it was 500. Yes, we cannot speak on this decision of the price for our daughter unless you must pay 500. Then it moves from 500 to 1,000. Today it is standing at 2,000. So it's already an expense. So they will talk. Then, but before they start speaking, they must put the money on the table first. That 2,000. Then it is on the table. After they have finished speaking again, another 2,000 for closing, which they mentioned or referred to, which says that Squala Molomo, you are now closing the mouth, no more talks. Then it's now 4,000. So that 4,000 is only given to the bride's side. All those who were representing that price decision will now be given a share of that one. It's not for the family member, for anyone else.
Okay.
Even the parents are not involved in that one. It's only for those who came to speak. They will share that 4,000 amongst themselves. So you can see already the concern that it's an expense. It's a very high expense. Now after that, once the full amount has been determined with the parents of the bride, now the bride parents are the ones who are taking the lion's share. Then the rest will be given at least one or two cattle, if it's cattle in the past. Then I don't know whether I'll be answering something coming there. Then I should think maybe I should leave it now because it's an issue of if the woman says it must go back.
Yeah.
What do you do? No, let me leave it for that.
Okay. I'd like to ask Ms. Mokgotsi, I'd like to ask, what determines the bride's price or lobola in your respective culture?
I talked already about relationship. That play a big role.
Okay.
And then when you hear what the people are talking about, this girl is highly educated. So maybe that's why the price is high. But that high price, my dear, it hurts the love of these two people. And it's never going to end here.
Yes.
Because that gentleman was having dreams. This portion which is in the nest. Now, when you touch it, you hurt the love of these two people. Because he was dreaming to go to buy a new house, because he's staying with the parents maybe. He's going to build a new house or to go to buy a new house and stay with his wife there. Now you touch this, you hurt the love. That's why I'm in my in Setswana culture, this relationship between us, we will try by all means not to ask that high prices, as the people are saying, price. Because this child of us, it doesn't mean he must go forever and never come back to us. It doesn't mean he must go forever and never going to look back. How is my parents there? Are they well? Are they still in a good condition? Are they healthy? Is there food? Because we do know that the drought is coming in. When it comes to the cows, when the people are talking about cows and those kind of things, drought is coming in.
Yes.
And these old people who are at home, really?
Right.
So that's why our negotiation and the relationship will also be in a good condition so that we can have this harmony relationship to look on this, not to hurt these two people's love.
Okay. All right. Now, some men today, or let me put it generally, most people would, but let me relate it to men because it is a gender-related kind of question. Some men believe that or regard dowry as a buying of property and would treat the bride as though she's a property now because they spend so much. What is your take on this, Doctor? What is your take on this? Because this person has paid so much, like you mentioned earlier, it's about 40,000, and now the wife comes home, maybe the guy, the husband wants soup, and the wife is tired. She cannot make soup at that point in time, and the husband is reflecting back on how much money he had to pay for this wife that is now refusing to make him soup.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I should think we are all in agreement that these prices for lobola are very high, and for sure. Men will also complain. The grooms will complain and say, oh, I have paid for this woman. She's not doing what I'm supposed to expect from her. So what do I do here now? Must I divorce? And that is why some even in 2 weeks' time, they've already divorced or committed suicide to avoid these problems. So what we are saying, for sure, we take that indeed grooms are also facing that problem, because if we refer to the culture of Setswana here, we hear that the love of the two should not be hurt, because this thing is a long-lasting thing between the two. Therefore, it's important that our different cultures should come together and see that, no, this price should be lowered so that even the men can appreciate that. Indeed, it's not only the families of the bride, we should appreciate that this has been given to us as an appreciation. But let also the groom say, we appreciate the price of the groom.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Now, I'll just throw this question to all of you, and then you just give me your respective perspectives, cultural perspectives on it. When, for example, a wife now, the husband has paid so much, 40K and so many cattle, and now the wife goes into this marriage and she's not having it and she would like to divorce. What then happens? Can lobola be refunded? Doctor, maybe you can take the first.
In that case, we go again to contemporary and ancient. When it comes to ancient, they will do divorce, but they will not demand, how can you retain a whore? Even you will be feeling very bad to retain a whore. Or I have worked for my parents-in-law to clean their farm. Now their farm is okay. How can I retain that? I'll just say, thank you for our divorce, although we divorced in this difficult situation, but I accept it. Then the woman would go. Okay. Yeah, and they will not have a problem with that one. Yeah.
In the Batswana,
in this one, in the contemporary marriage, the new one now, it's no longer the case between the parents. It's now the High Court. I hope we all know it. Yeah, it's recorded at the High Court that when I want divorce or my wife wants divorce, she will come to the High Court and say, we are divorcing. Then they don't go back to the parents. They just check, what did you two in your wedlock get together? Okay, we are looking at that one. You have 2 houses. The wife will have this, the husband will have. How many cars? As you know it. So now it's very easy now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. In the Batswana culture, how is the perspective?
If they are going to divorce, I don't think that, I don't think that really there must be a certain price which is going to be given again. Because when we marry and setting up these prices, what you are saying here, sometimes we take this educated woman and it hurts really the man at home. And this spoiled brat, sorry for the word, she can't even cook or take care of the children or take care of the household. And the man will be annoyed. And she paid this really huge price. How do you go in to feel really you yourself? That's why at home, my dear, let's start to educate our kids on the right path when it comes to the lady. To take care of everything. And when it comes to the divorce, nothing is going to be a high court, as you hear already.
Thank you, Ms. Mokhotse. Mr. Rokero, kindly give us your view of what I've just asked Ms. Mokhotse, and then please kindly your final remarks. We've run out of time.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me phrase it from the African perspective. Before white people came, they came with money. So before money, what was there before? So those are some of the things that we need to look into. And for us, if women, also on that note, if someone wants to divorce, what is currently happening now, people used to go to cash loan and borrow 30,000 and so on. And then at the end of the day, marriage does not go well. And then you happen to divorce. So you are the one to pay that cash loan or whoever. So if you happen to take this money, singiki, this material out, and we go back to our normal culture, things will be fine. And we don't give a certain price to a person from your Bahirero culture. So if you want to divorce, you just divorce. But you need to pay a number of 2 or 3 cattle that you need to pay to the bride or the groom if one happened to divorce. And we also have our own courts. We have our high court and so on and so on. Okay. So we don't go to court anymore. So we handle it from the maternal side and the paternal side.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Rokero. And I would like to pause at this juncture and appreciate all of you, my elders, for coming through to educate us. It is a conversation, it's a hard one, but it needs to happen. I would like to appreciate your time and effort for coming by and educate the Namibian nation. Namibia, that is all the time we had for today's discussion. I would like to urge all parents that it's your fiduciary duty to educate your children, whether the bride or the groom, so that they have a better future and they understand what they are getting themselves into, especially given that the lobola prices are so high. That's all the time we had for you today. From myself, Heleni Philippa Samunyela, and the entire GIC production crew, it's goodbye.